Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Priscilla. I'm the Director of Admission for Dodge College. I'm so excited to welcome you to our virtual session on how to apply to Dodge College. The goal of this session is to learn more about applying to film school and also give you an opportunity to ask some questions. I am joined by some staff members, Aiden and Lisa, who are current students that work in our office. They will be joining us for the Q&A session later in the session. We will start with a quick presentation and then we're going to leave time for Q&A from you all, excuse me. Feel free to start putting your questions in the Q&A section. If you see a question someone else has asked and you also would like it answered, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Some questions will be answered live and others will be answered in the chat. We will do our best to get through all of the questions, as many questions as we can tonight, but we will also follow up with you if we're not able to get to them. Let's go ahead and get started with our presentation. Okay, so how to apply to Dodge College. Again, I'm Priscilla Campos, and I'm joined by Aiden and Lisa, who will be joining us for the Q&A session. So session overview, a few things that we're going to be going over are Dodge College overview, our undergraduate programs, choosing a major and questions to ask, the Common App, the Creative Supplement, deadlines, and tips for applying. Dodge College has 1,500 students total. About 1,200 of those are undergraduate students, and we also have 300 graduate students. We have 17 academic programs. 8 of those are undergraduate programs, which we will go into in a little bit, and 9 graduate programs. We're also ranked as a number 4 film school by the Hollywood Reporter, and that we've been ranked number 4 as a 4th year in a row. So we're really proud of all of the effort and work and all the amazing things that our students have been doing. Our undergraduate programs. So we have animation and visual effects, broadcast journalism and documentary, creative producing, film and television production, film and media studies, public relations, advertising and entertainment marketing, writing for film and television, and screen acting. Choosing a major. So what are some things that are important when you're trying to figure out what am I interested in? So do you like writing? Do you like directing? Do you like producing? Do you like marketing? Do you like documentaries? Do you like animation? So a little, think about things that you like to do. What are you interested in? What would you actually like to study? Remember that you can do a few different things, but what you want to go and pay attention to is what your curriculum is based out of. So what do you really enjoy doing the most? And what do you like collaborating with your friends with? So just things to keep in mind. The amount of production or hands-on work is another question you want to ask yourself. So who owns the rights to the work you create and how much work will you do while you're in the program? So are you learning theory of filmmaking or are you actually doing the filmmaking? Those are questions that you should consider. And how is the program organized? So make sure that all the programs that you're looking into, you take a look at the course catalog. What are we teaching in the programs? What are the classes? What kind of classes are you taking? Are you taking your film classes right off the bat? Are you taking your film classes later in your career? So the junior and senior status. So make sure what electives are available, all kinds of things that you want to consider if you're deciding between 2 programs. So you want to pay attention, again, what are you studying? What are you going to be doing inside class? And what are you really interested in? Questions to ask yourself and also other film schools. While you think we're trying to find a fit for us, we're trying to be a good fit for you. So these are things that we want to consider. And these are also questions that we're going to be asking our students. So how is the student access to equipment? Do students have access to equipment off the bat? Do students have access to things outside of the classroom? When do we get access to equipment? Do students own the rights to the work? So do you have ownership to submit your work to film festivals? What are you able to do with the work that you create here in film school? How is the collaboration among majors? I know I brought that up a little earlier, but also, if you're interested in 2 kinds of areas, how much do you collaborate with the producing program? How much do you collaborate with the writers? Are animators able to be on set with you? So these are all things that you want to think about. What sort of internships do students do and are they required? Again, so who's helping with internships? Do you go to your faculty? Do they have a career center that's helping you? These are important to know. And also, how do you help students after graduation? So once you're done here, what access to things do you have as alumni? Can you come to, audit a class? Do you still have access to the career center? So things you should think about. Do you have international travel programs specifically for film students? So are film students able to travel abroad? Do they take the traditional study abroad route, or do they take travel courses that are just specifically for film? So something that you should be mindful of. What is the budget for student films or projects? So are film schools helping you fund for your projects? Are they providing any funds for your projects? These are all great questions to ask. How much time do you spend on work outside of class? Yes, film students are very busy. All kinds of film students, yes, they're in class, a few times a week learning, the material and meeting with their faculty member, but also how much time outside of that are they spending? Are they spending on their work and projects? And can a student double major or minor with a film major? So these are all great questions. Again, you want to ask all film schools, not just our film school, but we will have answers to those questions in the Q&A. So the Common Application. Common Application, you visit commonapp.org, and many schools require the Common App, so that you should be familiar if you're looking at a few different schools. You create an account and you make sure that you add Chapman University as one of your colleges. What that will do is pop up all the information and the Chapman specific questions. So you will complete the Common App and the Chapman specific questions. You will also submit your letters of recommendation here. We do get questions about letters of recommendation. If you can get somebody to speak to your academic ability and then someone to speak of your creative ability, that would obviously be your best bet. A high school counselor, a writing teacher, an advisor, anyone like that would be recommended. And then maybe an art teacher or a creative writing faculty member. So someone that, again, can speak to your creative ability would be wonderful. Once you submit the Common App, you will gain access to the Chapman application status page within 24 to 48 hours. So reminder, 24 to 48 hours. If you are applying early, that deadline is November 1. So you're definitely going to want to submit the Common App a few days before, so you still have time to submit your pieces and get access to the Creative Supplement. So until you have access to that portal or the status page, you will not be able to submit your materials. You can have them ready, so you can go tonight and submit the Common Application tonight, and you still have until the November 1 deadline to submit the creative materials. So make sure that you're paying attention to deadlines. And the Creative Supplement. So now you're going to submit the Creative Supplement. You only need to submit materials for your first choice major. We are not going to review any materials on top of that. So it's just what we're asking you for. And the materials are different for every program. So the first two required are the personal statement. So a Dodge College personal statement. For those who have already looked at the Common App, just a reminder that there's a personal statement on the Common App as well. And then we're asking you for a Dodge College personal statement. While you can talk about the same things, so what makes you different, what makes you a great individual, what differentiates you between other applicants, we don't want you to copy and paste. Don't copy and paste whatever you wrote in your Common App. Really take the time in your application and take advantage of the space that we're giving you to show us who you are, not only as a student, but as an artist. So if you want to talk about the same topic, like I said, that is totally fine. Just making sure that you're finding another creative way to tell us about yourself. You're also going to submit a creative resume. That's 5 to 7 pieces of work that you've done. That can be films that you've worked on. That can be your part of your book. That can be that you took a creative writing class. That can be that you love to write poetry. You love to write songs. So again, it's 5 to 7 pieces of different things that you have done. I tell people to be creative with that spot. Again, take advantage of the time and the space that we're giving you. So really find your way to shine and show us all the different things of what makes you unique and what makes you who you are. Not everybody has shot, 5 to 7 films or had a film in a film festival. That's wonderful. Of course, if you have done that, please add that. But people have done a ton of different things. So we really don't have anything specific that we're looking for. Again, we just want to find 5 to 7 things that you've done creatively that would make you stand out or differentiate you from the next applicant. And then every major has a major specific piece. So this is different for each program. Hopefully by this time you've looked at the requirements, but it could either be an essay, a video, your portfolio. And so make sure that you know what you're submitting for what program. And just a reminder, you can choose a second choice, but we only want you to submit the materials for your first choice major. Application deadlines. So first year students, the November 1 deadline is if you are applying early decision, early action, or anyone applying to film and television production. Early decision, if you want some clarification, that's binding. So if you're admitted to Chapman for early decision, it means that you will withdraw your application from all other schools. Early action just means that you are applying early and that you want to get your decision a little bit earlier. So you get it out of the way, you know what you're doing, awesome, you know where you want to go. And everyone, whether you're applying early decision, early action, or regular, everyone applying for film and television production needs to apply by the November 1 deadline. We do that specifically just because we get so many applications. So we need enough time for our faculty to take a look at everyone and make sure that we put the same effort and energy into everyone's application. So we need all those applications in early, and the decisions for film and television production will still come out in the spring unless you're applying early decision. I'll go over all of that if you have specific questions, but just know that for film and television production, whatever you're applying to is for November 1. And then we have regular decision in January 15th. So if you're applying for any of our other majors, writing, producing, animation, broadcast, and you're still taking time, either you're working on your portfolio, you're unsure of what program you want to apply to, you still have time to submit your application by January 15th. There is no negative consequence. We're fine with you applying regular, but if you're ready to go by the early action, obviously, please, check that off and submit it. But if you want to apply by regular, that's totally fine. We get a ton of applications during regular decision, and that's okay too. For transfer students, so we have 2 deadlines for transfer students. So for the spring semester, it's October 15th, and for the fall semester, it's February 15th. So a little bit easier, 2 deadlines, whichever semester you'd like to start in. The deadline for that is October 15th. Tips for applying. So some tips that I give parents and families and applicants, prospective students all the time are follow all directions carefully and know your deadlines. I know you're applying to a ton of schools. We love that you're applying to a ton of schools, and that's fantastic. But just make sure you're paying attention to what questions you're answering. So make sure that you know what each school is asking of you. Make sure that you're keeping track. So I always give students the tip of creating an Excel sheet, writing down the school you're applying, what are their deadlines, what are their requirements, when do they plan to release decisions. So keep yourself organized. We've gotten, applications that say they're for a different school. So, just be mindful. Of course, colleges are taking their time to read applications and really get to know who you are. And so just that extra little tip of paying attention and being organized and labeling your materials correctly will really make you stand out and know that you are taking the time and effort to get to know the school just as much as we are trying to get to know you. Again, title all your work, keep track of what you're submitting, talk about your fit for Chapman and Dodge College. Yes, we're a wonderful film school. Yes, we're the number 4 film school in the country. We love that, but you're also going to be a student here at Chapman. So what are things that you see yourself on campus doing? What kind of student groups do you like doing? Do you like any minor or major outside of the film school, which I would highly encourage? But immerse yourself in the community here, really get a full understanding of what it's like to be a student here at Chapman. And how you would fit. As a reminder, you're submitting the Common App that is going to be reviewing your fit for Chapman as a whole, and then your creative supplement is how you fit here at the film school. So both of those you want to impress, both committees and make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. Another tip is students should do the communication with us. We know parents are eager and excited. I would be too. I'm a parent myself. But we really want to hear from the students, and we really want the students to advocate for themselves. So really try to push your son or daughter or whoever's applying that you're assisting to do the communication, reach out. We need them to advocate for themselves here on campus, and we would love to hear from them directly. It's totally fine to email us. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I just really think students should be looped into the decision making. And if they have any questions, I'm happy to connect with students, get to know who they are. And of course, they're going to join us later today. So I'm hoping that your students will ask questions, but please make sure that your students are doing their best to communicate with us as well. And then another tip is you need to find what is unique about yourself and showcase that. So everybody asks, what are we looking for? We're looking for unique and creative storytellers. I know that sounds cliche, but it's really, really genuine. We're not looking for the same student that tells the same stories. We have thousands of students who want to tell different stories, have never been, have never shot films, have never been on a set before. That's okay. That's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for students to throw themselves out there. What kind of stories do you like to tell? Why would you be unique? How can we help you tell your story? Is the way I see it, instead of so much of how can you fit into the community that we have here. We have a wonderful community, and the reason we have such a wonderful and warm, welcoming, friendly community is because the students are so eager to tell their stories, help each other tell their stories, lend a hand. We do not have a competitive atmosphere here on campus. It's very friendly, and everybody wants the other person to have a great project, a great thesis project, and do their best. So those are the kinds of people that really fit into our community. And for those of you who have visited before, I hope that's the impression that you got of our school, of interacting, with my team, with myself. But really, as much as you are trying to find the right answers and you're searching for what are the best ways to get in, I really advise you to just be yourself. Again, what do you like to tell? Who are you? And how can we help you tell those stories? That's it for my presentation. I'm going to take a second because I'm going to invite my team back in with me so that we can start the Q&A portion. Give me 1 second. Okay, so if our panelists, Lisa and Aiden, can join us. Awesome. Hi, guys. You can unmute yourself. What I'm going to do is introduce you, or let you introduce you both, and tell us about your major, your year, and your involvement, and where you're from.
Okay, hello. If I could get started, if that's all right. My
Of
name is
course.
Lisa. Hi, everyone. I'm currently a senior broadcast journalism and documentary major. I have minors in Chinese and visual journalism. I'm originally from Staten Island, New York. So if anyone has any questions about being an out-of-state student or my major, I also originally came into Chapman or Dodge as a public relations advertising major. So if you guys have questions about changing your major at all, feel free to, send that question in the chat. But yes, here on campus, I'm involved with the Chapman Sports Broadcasting Network, where we broadcast all of Chapman's D3 sports. I'm also a part of Chapman Radio. I have a show there. I've been doing it for around 3 years now. I was also involved with the Panther newspaper before. But so if anyone has questions about that, feel free to ask.
Awesome. Aiden?
What's up, guys? My name's Aiden. I'm a junior film and television production major with an emphasis in directing. I have a minor in business of entertainment, which is a hybrid minor between Dodge and the business school. So you get to take some producing classes, you get to take some business classes, ton of fun. I'm from Studio City, California, so kind of local, kind of not, kind of a mix in between there. About 2 hours away from home with traffic, LA. Yeah, some things I'm involved in on campus is film. That's kind of my whole thing. I do frequent some clubs every now and then, like the Anti-Philosopher Forum or the Film Society. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions about the production program here, I'm so excited to answer for you.
Yay. The first question that I'm going to ask you both, it's a pretty common question, and also one of the tips I gave is how much do you guys collaborate with different majors here on campus?
Yeah, I can take this from like a non-film production point of view as well. I would say, I mean, just I briefly mentioned this before, but as a public relations major at first, right, I was still taking classes with a bunch of people from very differing majors who were just people who were just interested in public relations. I took classes with them as well. So in those kinds of spaces, because of the small class sizes, right, we have an average class size of 23 students, which is incredible because you get to collaborate with them on various projects and things like that. You are always like meeting new people and things like that. So you really are able to learn about like what people are doing, what they're up to, and kind of, being like, hey, like I'm kind of interested in a film set, can I work with you on that? And it's really close knit in that way. But of course, like from a production point of view, Aiden, I'm sure you have more to offer there.
Yeah, I mean, the intra-major collaboration, even like, I mean, I'll start with just within Dodge. It's honestly crazy. Like with the advanced productions, which are the junior level films, those are written by a screenwriter. Um, Often you'll have students that are a part of different majors also work on those films as well. A lot of like on my film, our first AC, one of the assistant camera people, he's a documentary major, but he wanted to take a cinematography class, and he's a part of that as well. I have friends across all different disciplines within Dodge College itself. For thesis films, sometimes there'll be joint theses between the animation and visual effects program and the film production program. Often, last year we had a film that had a full CG character that was a robot, and that was the visual effects thesis. That's what they did. They made that robot. But then even beyond just within Dodge, there's a lot of collaboration that goes on with some of the other schools. Something really cool that's going on this year for our advanced production is one film is about a fashion designer, and so they're getting custom dresses made by a fashion student over on main campus, which I think is really cool. We also collaborate a lot with the Performing Arts School, the College of Performing Arts, also shortened to COPA. Often you'll hear that, COPA. So like the music students, a lot of times music students are scoring Dodge films. A lot of music students end up minoring in like sound design within Dodge as well. The screen acting program is a joint program between the College of Performing Arts and Dodge College. So there's a pool of actors there ready and willing to work. They're really talented. There's also the theater program, so you can work with them a lot as well. But also, like sometimes I know there was a thesis last year that they needed to do some in-depth historical research. They collaborated with a history major who had I don't even remember what era it was, but like they did some like historical research together. So there's kind of no limit to the collaboration and interaction between the majors. It's really up to you and what you need. You just have to reach out and ask, because honestly, filmmaking and storytelling is so cool. Like anybody on main campus is going to be down to like collaborate on these films. Like of course they want to, and it's such an open and involved community that everyone's always wanting to work together.
Awesome. For both of you, I'll start with Lisa first. What did you get involved with in high school, and how did you know you wanted to major either in public relations or now in broadcast?
Yeah, for sure. So I full honesty, I did not know that broadcast or journalism was like even a thing, really. I had no idea sports broadcasting really like was a career that I would be interested in. So feel that my involvements with my high school like clubs, so I was in the visual arts program in my high school, and so in that program I was able to learn how to use a camera, like and got my grounds with art, so like with painting and sculpture making and things like that. It sounds super like not really related to what I'm doing now, but it really did kind of touch my creative side of my brain. It really allowed me to learn how to use a camera and all those basics. And even though at that time I didn't think that I would be like working with cameras, right, with broadcasts and stuff, right, it did kind of plant that seed in my brain, so that when I did enter in PR and ad, like I was leaning more towards the broadcast, because I was like, oh, like this is like a super interesting, major. How could I get involved? But with public relations, I originally applied to that program just because I loved writing and telling stories. And at the time, like I thought that that major was the perfect fit for me. But like I said, as I collaborated with other students and kind of inquired around with faculty and stuff, I kind of realized that journalism was the better route to suit my needs in that way. Hopefully that
Awesome.
answers the question.
Yeah, of course. And some people, you were right, some people don't think, pottery or poetry are so related. They're just thinking, oh my gosh, I have to shoot films. But that's a perfect example. It's just being creative, what kind of stories, getting in that creative thought process is really helpful.
Exactly.
Aiden, what were you involved in?
Well, for me, I'll say I pulled what I'll call a high school musical. I originally was a baseball player, had like a vague interest in creative arts, but like my focus was playing baseball. I was like, I'm an athlete. I'm going to go to college for baseball. And then one day, this kid showed up in our program, and he was way better than me. Took my spot, and I was like, "Wait, maybe I'm not that good at this." I was like, I need to find some. I need to find something else that I'm passionate about, and that led me to music. And I really loved writing music. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a film composer. I love movies. I love music. Boom, perfect, easy, done." Then I started scoring films, and I was like, "Wait, I don't, I don't know if this is what I want to do, but it's fine." I'll go to music school. So I took an AP music class to be like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I took that class and I was like, oh no, 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 no. And I was like, okay, that's not, I don't want to do that. Oh, well, I really like theater. I like, I've loved going to musicals with my family. So I joined the theater department my senior year. And then I was like, wait, I know what I want to do. And over the summer between my junior and senior year, summer before senior year, I decided, I was like, wait, I think I want to go to film school to direct. And so my cousin and I just basically made like 7 short films over the summer. None of them were very good. They were all kind of stupid and funny and silly, but we were just trying to, I was just like, how do I do this? Like, I didn't know what I was doing. So I just decided to make as much stuff as possible to figure it out. And then I used what I had around me. I used friends from the theater department. I used the fact that we had a theater. I shot my application film in the theater, and that's what my short film was about, because that's what I had access to. I was in the jazz band program, which was cool, but like, I think ultimately for me, through high school, I did different things, but they were all, I was finding out very quickly what I maybe wasn't good at, just what I wasn't meant to do. I didn't love music, or I didn't love baseball the same way I love deeply. I'm deeply passionate about filmmaking. Um, and I think really like going towards your passions in high school is a great way to figure out what you do love. And like finally getting to direct a film with my friends and make these fun little stupid short films that like I've never showed anybody, but they're fun to make. Like I was like, oh, this is what I love doing. And it's kind of like the passion that set me off onto a journey of now being here, and realizing it's what I really love to do. And I mean, once I got in, I was like, okay, now I have to really figure out how to do this stuff, because I'm going to show up to school and everyone's going to be way better than me. And I was like, oh no. So again, I just did the same thing. I just made a ton of really stupid, bad short films on my iPhone, like literally just, oh, you can't even see it, the visible phone. I just made a ton of films on that. Like I just was trying to figure it out, because you know, I just ultimately, and I think this is my personality, is I go towards what I love, and then I get really hyper focused on that kind of stuff. So I wasn't like a super extracurricular person in high school. I was pretty much like, I'm going to do this one thing, and then I was like, wait, no, I'm going to do this one thing, and I was like, wait, no, I'm going to do this one thing, and then finally landed on film. So that that's okay too. Is like it, even while you're here, it's a process of exploration and finding what you love. You might know you want to do film, and you're like, I'm going to apply as a director, and then you're like, wait, no, wait, I don't want to talk to actors at all. I just want to touch the camera. And you're like, oh, I want to be a cinematographer. Or you're like, wait, I just want to design the space. I don't want to do anything with camera. And you're like, oh, I want to be a production designer. Again, like allowing yourself to be open and free about just exploring what you love, and just having fun with it. Like ultimately, I think that's the most important thing. Is like filmmaking and storytelling is so much fun. So I don't know. That kind of went on a tangent. I don't know if that
No,
really answered the question, but
no, it honestly, both of you had different routes to get here, and you both kind of ended up in the same place with completely different routes and completely different experiences, which brings me to my next question, because both of you guys touched on it a little bit, but what does your typical week look like here? Like, how much time are you spending outside of classes? What are you doing when you're not spending outside of classes? What do you do when you're not spending time with me in my office? What are you guys doing, and what does a typical week look like?
I don't think there's such thing as a typical week. It's like it's so great because there is so much going on all the time, and it's kind of why I think I have to do something like film, because it's never the same thing. It's similar, but it's there's always a different, new, exciting thing going on. Every time you go onto a set, it's a different experience. You're in a different location. It's different every time. I mean, I can try to give like a general idea of what a week looks like for like a production major, but again, like it just changes week to week. So right now, my weeks are generally, because I'm in the middle of production on a film. So this is a good like snapshot of what it's like when you're in the grind trying to get something made. Um, so I try to schedule my classes later in the day, because I like having meetings and stuff in the morning. So on Mondays, I'll wake up and I'll have a production meeting with my production designer. Then I'll basically take some time to do some homework, and then I'll go to my classes from like, I think it's 4 to 10 p.m. Something you should note about going to film school is we do have like a lot of night classes, and that's because a lot of the professors are literally driving down from LA after their day jobs to come teach. This semester, one of my night classes is taught by Carolyn. Oh, I always forget like how to pronounce her last name. Giardina. She's a journalist for Variety, I believe, and she she used to work for the Hollywood Reporter. So she has her day job working in the entertainment industry, but then she comes down to teach a class to us at night, and so there'll be a lot of night classes. But honestly, like my days to instead of just going day by day because it's different every time, it's really split between doing classes, meeting with my collaborators, and then trying to find some time in between there to relax and do some homework. Because you're also like, I have to go to the grocery store. Oh, like there is a part of it too of like learning how to become an adult and like balance all of that stuff. So it's kind of sneakily a hard question to answer because it's always different and it's always evolving and changing. Like, this past week, all we were doing were looking for locations. And then we got it today. We got our location today. So now I'm like, wait, we have to cancel all of our other location scouts. Like it's that kind of thing. It's like things start to turn on a dime and it's so much fun and it's dynamic and it's exciting. And I think that's what I love about it is that it is never the same. And it's like every week's a journey, every week's an odyssey, but you always get it. You always figure it out. You always figure it out. Like you just have to trust. Sorry, that was like I don't know if that's a good answer.
That was good. Lisa?
Yeah, I mean, I just love how excited Aiden is. It's so awesome. But I think but I totally agree. It's kind of hard because every week kind of looks different, for Aiden and me as well. But just to give maybe you guys like a better look, my last week, or this past week, excuse me, I'm currently an intern at Seacrest Studios, which is really close by to Dodge. So I go in about twice a week. So on Monday, I went in, interned there. It's an in-house broadcast studio there. So I typically spend like a good chunk of my day there. I also have some on-campus jobs, right, as you guys have probably picked up because I love Dodge. And then actually on Tuesday, I was invited to my first movie premiere, which was up in West Hollywood. Thank you to Seacrest Studios for that. So that was a great opportunity for me. And then like Aiden said, balancing classes, of course. I'm a senior. I'm currently taking 3 classes right now. And I'm using my internship as a 4th class, if you will. So I had most of my classes on Wednesday, and then Thursday was like mostly work and things like that. I also have meetings during the week with my involvements with the sports broadcast club. We have meetings about that as well for the games that we're going to broadcast. So we talk about that, review the previous broadcasts that we did, how we can improve, what to expect for the future. So meetings like that. I have my radio show like I was talking about. And then Friday I go back into for my internship as well. And that's kind of basically what my week looks like. And then on the weekend last week, I was helping my friend who's a sound designer on a set. So I boom mopped for him. So that was really fun. And that's what my weekends looked like. So that's a short look at a week in my life. But like Aiden said, kind of really depends on what's going on that week, right? Things will switch in and out. Obviously, I'm not going to a movie premiere every single week, but that's kind
You're
of
not? What?
I know it's crazy. You
What
would
a
think
glamorous
film
life,
school.
Lisa.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to movie premiere every single night. I don't know about
Oh
you
my
guys.
gosh, you're just
Not
too
not to
cool.
not to scare anybody, but like
Oh,
this is my calendar.
hello?
This was today.
Oh my gosh.
So again, very busy, but I love being busy. It's all like I would rather be busy trying to make a film than trying to study for a biology test. That's my honest opinion. Okay. I'd rather spend 3 hours driving around trying to find a backstage than spending 3 hours learning human anatomy. That's my opinion. I'm sorry.
Lisa, you brought up a good point. So your internship, how did you get your internship? What does that look like? Are there other Chapman students there? Did Chapman help you get it? Talk to us a little bit about how you got that.
Yeah, definitely. Great question because so this Seacrest Studios, if you guys have heard of Ryan Seacrest, this is his foundation. So he basically set up or founded like an in-house broadcast studio within a hospital that's really close by. It's a children's hospital near campus, and they have a partnership with Chapman. So not just with Seacrest Studios in that hospital, but just Chalk as a hospital in general. So they'll partner with Chapman, like health science students, right? And like things like that. So a lot of students already intern there, as health science people and nurses, doctors, whatever. That's really cool. But I do like the broadcast stuff, right? So I heard about this internship just because they would come into Chapman. Dodge would invite Seacrest Studios people to come in and talk about their internship, what they do at the hospital. So a lot of the interns that have been at Seacrest Studios heard about the internship through Dodge events and visits that the supervisors did in our broadcast classes. So that's how I heard about it, was just through people, my seniors who were interning there already, and they told me about their experiences, and it was super awesome. And it is a nonprofit, so it is an unpaid internship. However, it is such a great opportunity that I have been able to get. I'm really thankful for it. But in order to prepare for this internship as well, we have a variety of career resources here, ranging from, resume workshops and working on your cover letter, things like that, or if you wanted to set up a mock interview. So I reached out to one of the career managers. I'm forgetting the official title, so excuse me, but one of the Chapman career people helped me figure out and fine tune my resume. So that was really helpful in getting my internship, and that I'm really thankful for. And yeah, I'm taking it for one of my upper division course credits as well, because you can totally do that with an internship that you're doing during the school year or during the summer as well.
I'm going to take a few questions from the chat. I've kind of tried to summarize a few of those as I was throwing at you, but there's a few that are probably more geared towards me. And if you guys want to chime in, please do. So about 2 or 3 of them are mostly about the application. So for students who got into the program, how did their 2-minute film stand out from the rest? Great question. Obviously, Aiden's fantastic. His film must have been great.
What do you
But
mean must have been?
we're really, like I said, we're really looking for creative storytellers. So we have denied students that's, I'm sure, spent a lot of money on films on set and it makes it look beautiful, but there was no story substance. We've admitted students who, just like Aiden said, perfect example, shot it on their phone, probably very low budget, maybe had their friends acting. The acting's not the best, but such a good story. So please, we should not be spending hundreds of dollars or trying to get the best of the best equipment to shoot something. We can teach you all of the production part. We have the top facilities, the top equipment, all of that you will have when you get here. We really are focusing on stories here. So for the students who have gotten in, they've showed us who they are as a storyteller. They've told us some funny, creative, dramatic, all kinds of genres of people that we've admitted, and their stories that they told us in their 2-minute film. But it really was unique. Don't forget, we have YouTube as well. So we know tons of students will post their film, how they got into film school, and then we will have people who try to recreate those same films. We've seen it all, I promise you. So please tell us something that's unique to yourself. If you like a certain topic, if you like comedy, go for that. We don't censor films. We don't censor student films here either. So if it's a interesting topic that you'd like to tell us, go for it. Really put yourself out there. Aiden's laughing, I'm sure, because of my we don't censor student content here. But it really is. Truly be yourself. And I know that sounds cliche, but I really, really mean that. If you are getting feedback from a bunch of people, or maybe your counselor's like, I don't think they want to hear that, I promise you we do. We want to hear your first draft. What did you come up with before you let a ton of people look over it? Another question, what does the portfolio submission look like, and do you describe your pieces along with the photos? So that was a little confusing question. As a reminder, for talking film production, we are only asking you to submit that one film. So if you're talking about the creative resume, we don't want links. We don't want you to submit any other materials. We just want you to talk about those pieces. So like Aiden said, he made 7 to 10 funny pieces that summer with his friends. Awesome. Tell us what you did, what they were, what you did on them. Did you boom mic, like Lisa said? Did you help direct it? Did you find the location? Like, what did you do in those projects? What was your creative role? And then what was the project? So we just want to hear the description of it. We don't want the links. We're not going to review all of that off the bat. Another question from Jaden was, when it comes to student portfolios, what is more important? How much the student has on their portfolio, or the quality of work themselves? That's a great question. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the quality of work itself, meaning I don't want a full masterpiece. Everyone applying is 16, 17, 18 years old. I don't expect you to submit something that's like ready to go for the film festivals. But I really do want you to submit things that you're proud of. So if for animation, is it storyboard that you've done that you're really proud of? For writing, like I said, do you write poetry, songwriting, any fun creative thing that you've done? I personally know that our team likes to see a mix of things that you've done. So, like I said, if you have directed 8 films and you just list 8 directed films, awesome. We got the idea. You direct films. Like, what else did you do? So, Aiden, perfect example. I was, in choir or whatever. Any other fun thing that you've done. We really want to see all the different things. So, it doesn't necessarily need to be completed work or the quality of work, but we do like to see a mix of different things. I'm trying to pick out any other ones. Oh, do you guys know of anyone who is playing a sport here at Dodge?
Yes, I do.
Okay, yay! Can you talk a little bit of
And we
how
both do,
they
sorry.
manage? You guys are so busy, so how would you manage playing a sport? We got a few questions if that's a
Yeah.
possibility and how they manage that schedule.
Yeah, so Chapman is a Division 3 school. So I would say that if you're comparing Chapman, to a school like UVA or like Ohio State, like, it's going to be super different, right? Based off of what I've heard from my friends' experiences, especially like those who are Dodge majors, it's pretty manageable. It's kind of like how I feel you would there's like daily practices, right, every single day, depending on what sport you're playing. For example, like our lacrosse team, it plays on like a Division 1 level, but they're a club sport. So it really depends on what team you're playing for. But I would say it's pretty manageable, like I was saying. When it comes time to like build your classes and your schedule for that semester, your professors and your sports teams will help you figure out like what classes could best fit with whenever your team practices. So if you have a night class, like a 7 to 9:45 class, and that conflicts with your track practice, your coaches will work with your professors for that. Like that's a standard that they set. You'll get priority for another class, a different section, rather than that 7 p.m. class or something like that. So I'd say like your professors and your coaches work well together. We have like intramural sports and sports like PE classes that you can take if you don't think you want to join like an official Chapman sports team. If you have like specific questions about like that student athlete balance, you can also probably reach out to this, student athletes, as I'm sure we'll talk about in the Unibuddy portion. But yes, like if you have specific questions, like feel free to ask. But for the most part, from what I've heard from my friends, it's really manageable, and it's not like super demanding where, you know, it's kind of sports takes over your life, I guess. Aiden, if you have anything to add to that,
Okay,
feel free.
so I kind of have a different story.
Oh,
Um, there are two sports that are very hard to do at the same time as being a film production major. That is football and baseball.
Yep.
Um, and I have friends that have been like on the swim team and the track team, and like usually they're able to manage doing like film production or like documentary or production major with those other sports. However, with football and baseball, I know like my roommate sitting over there was a football player, and the amount of effort you have to put into being a football player and being a production student at the same time, it's honestly like I just don't think it's the kind of thing that is sustainable for 4 years. I think at some point you have to choose because this is what when I said I was a baseball player. When I was talking to coaches, they were like, "Look, like you can do it, but like we really don't recommend it because both of those things require you to put 100% of yourself into them, and especially with football and baseball, just the way that the practices are structured and the way the seasons are structured, it's very very hard to maintain um, like the level of student athletics with the level of that demands production. Freshman year, often students are able to manage it. Like most people survive freshman year, but once it gets into sophomore year, junior year, that's when people start having to make those difficult decisions because at the end of the day, like you want to be able to give 110% to your film. Like I couldn't imagine trying to make my AP and being on a sports team at the same time. Because ultimately, as a production major, film becomes your sport in a weird way, because there's so much you have to do outside of your classes, especially for film production, that it's not fair to your team on both sides of things. If you're directing an AP, that's 30 people that are looking to you to lead them. But if you're also, the running back on the football team, that's, 40, 50, 60 teammates that are looking to you to help lead the team. And so ultimately it comes, there is a decision to be made there. And it's not something you have to make right now. A lot of students come in being student athletes and in the film and television production major. But it's something that I would just be aware of, because it's just the reality. Because I don't want you coming here thinking, I'm going to be a student athlete my senior year and I'm going to be directing a senior thesis. I genuinely, like, because you're not going to be able to put effort into both of those things. And ultimately, both of them suffer at that point. So that's just the reality of it, especially with football and baseball. And it's something to consider is talk to the coaches, tell them what you're interested in. And, maybe there is a pipeline that works out. You decide to do all your collections in fall and play during the season in spring. There are avenues, but I won't lie to you. With those two sports, with film production, it's very difficult.
Thank you. No, I completely agree. I do think you can come in with an idea, and once you are here, you're going to have to kind of pick and choose once you get to those higher level classes on, what's more important. We did have a few questions for you, Aiden, on how you picked your business minor and how beneficial do you think it is studying business or entertainment as a film student?
Yeah. To be completely honest, I wanted to be an Italian minor, and my dad was like, "I'm sending you to film school. You have to take a business minor." I was like, "Okay, cool, great, fine." I was like, "I'm interested anyways." Like, okay, great. Um, but I was like, I don't want to do straight business, and we had this new major that was business of entertainment, and I was like, "Ooh, I've always been interested in these creative producing classes that I didn't have access to through my major." So I was like, "Screw it, I'll apply," and I did, and I've loved it so far. It's honestly like opened up I think the row of possibilities as a director to go into. Like I took a great marketing class. I was like, oh, marketing's really cool. And that marketing class led me to think about like, wait, there's all these commercials that are being made. Let me actually think about maybe I want to go into commercials. So then I went to the career center. I'm like, can I apply to like commercial production companies? And they're like, yeah. So I just like literally started watching commercials and listed out my favorite ones and then just started cold emailing all of these commercial production companies. And I got an internship at a place called Hungry Man this summer. It was awesome. I got to go on some pretty big commercial sets as a PA. I got paid. It was awesome. And I realized, no, I don't really want to do commercials. Like, it was something but it was like, oh, this is an opportunity. And then I said that, and then this like 2 weeks ago, I directed a commercial, and I was like, oh wait, I don't know. It like you kind of get these experiences, like it broadens your horizons. It makes you a more versatile filmmaker because it is a business at the end of the day. Understanding how it operates, even if you're not participating in that specific section, is really important. Understanding how they're going to market your film, what they're thinking about, because ultimately, when you're pitching a film, those executives are like, I guarantee you, one of the questions they're thinking is like, what is the trailer shot? And you have to know that. You have to understand what the audience is looking for. Even if your audience is like a super small niche audience, you have to understand what that audience is. And that's kind of what marketing is all about. I'm taking an accounting class, which first day I was like, why am I here? But ultimately, I'm like, wait, this is kind of like if I'm gonna run a business, I need to understand what my accountant is doing. Like it's these like interesting little skills. I often talk about you learn hard skills and soft skills. Learning how to tell a story, understanding narrative, understanding how to direct actors. That's all kind of softer skills, right? But there's also all these hard skills, like how do you put up a C-stand, right? Like hard skills that are going to help on set, but you also have hard skills like literally like these business classes are giving you hard skills. How do you keep track of accounts? How do you learn marketing? There's literally a class I'm going to take next semester that's literally entrepreneurial finance. How do you raise money? You can't make a film without money at a certain level. So understanding these processes, even if I'm not, hopefully I'm not going to be the one in the trenches getting the money made. I understand how it's coming, what it's supposed to look like, and it gives you just a ton of avenues to walk down. And then there's also the creative producing side is like there's literally a class right now that I'm in called Agents and Managers. Do I want to be an agent or manager? No, absolutely not. That I would never want to be in that world as my profession, but understanding how they think and what they're looking for in the like people they want to represent. Where are they looking? What film festivals are they going to looking for talent? That that's all invaluable information that I can take and use and be like, when I go into a meeting one day with the manager who's like, I want to represent you. Now I have in the back of my mind kind of how that world functions, like understanding all the elements of the business, even though you might not be going into that specific world yourself, is going to serve you well in ways that honestly you can't even imagine. I can't even imagine because one day you're going to show up at your internship and they're like, we don't understand our accounting software. And you're going to be like, I do. And guess who gets the promotion? Right. So it's all those kind of like, I really encourage you to find a minor, if it's not business or entertainment, that will give you these hard skills that give you a different avenue. Like I wouldn't try to like double up on like what you're already learning. I would
Yep.
try to find an avenue, like give yourself another lane. Even if like, cause there's like that straight path to directing, which is not really, it's kind of like that, but there's also like, the whoop, and you kind of go around this way. Like you just want to give yourself options and doors to walk through. And really that business minor allows for that to happen. A lot of directors end up founding their own production companies. And in the beginning, they're probably running it with a business partner. You have to make sure your business partner isn't stealing all your money or doing shady stuff. Hopefully they're not, but understanding how the business operates will also help you pick a good business partner as well. Like even if, again, I'm repeating myself, but it's important. Just because you're not doing it yourself, understanding how it's done is really important. And I'd encourage you to find something that fits that kind of description.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of knowing and being a program with two options, Lisa, can you talk a little bit about the documentary program, when you picked which emphasis you wanted to go into, and what kinds of things, if you guys collaborate on anything, work on, take similar classes?
Yeah, definitely. So the broadcast journalism and documentary program is pretty unique in that way because that's where it differs from the film and TV production major. We don't do like an official submission of like, hey, I want to emphasize in documentary or broadcast journalism. When you see your entire program, right, and all the required core classes and things like that, you can kind of pick what classes you want to take. For broadcast journalism, right, like I knew I wanted to emphasize in broadcast journalism. So I just took more broadcast journalism classes. And then for my senior thesis or my capstone, we work on a live newscast, a weekly newscast called Chapman News. So that's my thesis, if you will. But for documentary, this is kind of like how you finalize your emphasis, I guess. But for documentary, you work on your final senior documentary film. And so that's kind of like what that looks like in your first 2 years or so, right? Your freshman, sophomore year, a lot of all the broadcast and doc students will be taking a lot of the similar classes. You have your intro to documentary class or your basic broadcast news class. This is where everyone, gets a feel for what it's like to report news or write for news or make documentary films because in all honesty, right, like all these skills really overlap with each other because this program is the program at Dodge that focuses on nonfiction storytelling. So a lot of your courses will overlap in the beginning, but as you go on into your upper division courses, you can take more specific documentary filmmaking classes or specific broadcast classes. However, just a really fun note as well, this doesn't limit you to, like if you're a broadcast major, broadcast journalism emphasis like me, if I was interested in documentary, I can still request to take one of those classes. One of the classes that we have here is called Community Voices, which is a really popular class. It's part of our documentary program, and it basically gives students the opportunity to make any documentary on a specific themed social issue or a theme or focus on a specific subject or people group. And we have students go out across the world, across the country to make documentary films, and anyone can apply to that class. So even though we have emphases, you're not limited to that. However, you kind of like can pick and choose like what classes to take, but as long as you take like the required amount of core classes for broadcast or for doc, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And that's one of my favorite programs just because you have the option to do both. And in the beginning, I kind of thought I didn't would understand how they would mix together. But when you see the course catalog and the types of option you guys have, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
We have 5 minutes, so I have one last question for you guys. And just a reminder, if we did not get to your question in the chat or live, we will absolutely get back to you. Me and my team will make sure that we answer your question. But my last question for Lisa and Aiden is, what is one piece of advice you would give prospective students that are still considering Dodge College?
Yeah, there's like so much I feel like I could say. Chapman in general is a very unique school, and Dodge is so special. There are people that I will meet from back home or around California who have never heard of what Dodge College is, right? But people who know, who are in the industry, or people that are like in journalism, like for me, or filmmakers that I'll meet, when they hear that I go to Dodge, their face lights up. Like I'm telling you, like Dodge is so filled with so many incredible resources and opportunities. The faculty that makes up Dodge College is so unique. Aiden mentioned this in one of the earlier questions that we talked about, but your professors are people who are still in the industry, going to work in a production studio, right, during the day and then coming to teach you at night just because they genuinely love the students here so much and they know the potential that students have here, right? Or like there's, you have faculty who are still working, or you'll have professors who have years of experience under their belt. One of my coworkers in the admissions office, one of my friends, her advisor or her like academic advisor, he was literally the producer of Hairspray. Like you have people who are here to mentor you and help you out with trying to figure out your career and what to do, like with your major, and they have all this experience and they really want to help you. It's something that you can't really find anywhere else. Chapman's school size is incredible, and so I think like my advice for you is to, I guess, really like look at that and really like find, there's so much footage and video and all this blogs and stuff like that we have about all the things that are happening at Chapman and around Dodge, and I really encourage you guys to read up on that. If you're on the fence about Dodge, find all those things and all the master classes that we have here, and like really try to pick something out and be like, hey, like how can I, like where can I see myself like fit in with this, and try to pick out a unique aspect of Dodge that you really resonate with. Like when I was going through my application and trying to figure it out, like I had fun with the questions. The application questions that we have there are super fun, so just have fun with it and really try to connect yourself with an aspect of Dodge College, because there's just so much that we have to offer here, and it's really well-rounded and there's so many facets of it, and so hopefully that makes sense. I kind of babbled on there, but
Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
Aiden, any advice?
Yeah. And this advice definitely applies to your application, but also I think it's just good advice in general as an artist. Um, I mean, don't be afraid to take a chance or to take a risk, as long as you're doing something personal. Going back to like one of the earlier questions about, what makes your, portfolio film stand out, is I can tell you that every single person I know that got in to the film production program, every single one of their films was a deeply personal story. Um, they were bearing their soul via film and showing it to the admissions office. And that's something that's brave and scary to do sometimes. I made a film. Can I say what I made my film about, or is
Yeah,
that
that's
okay?
totally fine. Of
I
course.
made a film about when I had a panic attack before an audition before my first ever play. And that was it. It just was what was personal to me, and I made it about how I mean, not my my friend basically saved me by coming in and sitting with me during my panic attack. And it was something that was very scary to film and to make because it was very personal and visceral, and but it was again, it was personal, and that's what made it a good application film, is that it was something that was honest. And I really implore you to go towards what's like you're scared to talk about. Go towards what is that personal situation that you have this urge to tell people, but you might be holding back a little bit because it's very vulnerable. You know, great art is vulnerable. Great art, that's how you communicate. That's what art is for. Um, so keeping that in mind when you're telling your stories is go towards the personal. Like, it's fine if you want to try to like remake Whiplash or whatever your favorite movie is because you think that's what we want to see. But like again, we want to see your specific point of view. Like that's really what you bring to the table as a filmmaker, is a point of view. And if you look at any great filmmaker, the reason Steven Spielberg is great, David Fincher is great, um, any of those guys, um, it's because they all have a point of view. They have perspective on something, and only you have the perspective on your life and your experiences. So use that. Of course, be inspired by whatever you're inspired by, but go back to your truth and what you want to say. I think that'll help you in your application, but it will also help you uh, just for the rest of your filmmaking or creative journey, whatever you intend to do.
Awesome. Thank you guys. That was a perfect example from both of you. I know this is a really nerve-wracking time for everyone that's looking into schools or trying to figure out what they want to do. We know this is a big decision. Again, I really encourage you to take our tips and tricks, and they're exactly what they are. They're just tips. You're going to find a school that's a good fit for you. You're going to visit a campus that feels right. You're going to talk to faculty or current students that make you feel at home, and thankful for Dodge College. We found Lisa and Aiden, but you're going to find a good fit for you. And so whatever that is, we wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Don't forget that we will get back to your questions. If you have any other questions or something pops up, please reach out to the Office of Admission. You can also reach out to my office at dodgeadmit@chapman.edu. And we look forward to welcoming you to campus one day. Thank you so much. Have a good night.